Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. At this stage, my personal feed is completely flooded with everything Jeffrey Epstein. And then I came across this YouTube channel. Its name is Cool Story Brew. And the video title was South Africa has its own Epstein Island. Now that definitely drew my attention. So the claims are that during the apartheid era, wealthy businessmen and high-ranking government officials took young boys to a remote island just off the coast of Port Elizabeth in the Eastern Cape. And they then did whatever they wanted to, those boys. And what is worse is that a former police detective who went public with these allegations were found not alive anymore only days later, under very suspicious circumstance. The Lost Boys of Bird Island hit the shelves on August 2018, written by Mark Minnie, a former South African police detective, in collaboration with Chris Steyn, a respected journalist at that time. So obviously, I would also want to do my own research and as part of that, read this book. So I got my hands on this book. This book, by the way, not on the shelves anymore. It was withdrawn in 2020. Families of the accused ministers launched a lawsuit against Media24 for publishing this book. So if you want a little bit of a backstory about this book, go to the YouTube channel, Cool Story Brew, listen to that video, and leave a comment and tell them I send you. So I thought, why don't get you guys to read this book with me? I think it will definitely be highly censored, or I'll just change up a few words so that it's YouTube appropriate. I mean, I just released a Jeffrey Epstein video about a day ago, and that video is doing so bad. And I think it's because I said a few things that YouTube doesn't like. Okay, so let's get into it. The name of the book again, The Lost Boys of Bird Island. And I'm not going to read the foreword at this stage. I just want to get right into the book. Maybe I'll do that at a later stage and just put it in, or I'll just skip it all together. Okay, so the first chapter is called The Call. I'm an undercover narcotics agent with the South African police. Here's my story, which begins in February 1987. The phone rings. It's the brigadier. To my office. Now, he barks. He hangs up abruptly, leaving me no opportunity to reply, much less resist. It sounds bad. I'd better get there. But why on earth is he calling me? I'm 50 leagues below him in the chain of command. If he needed to see an investigator, he could have summoned one through my branch commander, the lieutenant. Something's clearly amiss. I begin to panic, but tell myself to keep calm and maintain a level head. The thing is, you don't mess around with this guy. He can end your career in a blink, and mine's already going nowhere. I rush along the dark corridor, grabbing a cup of watered-down coffee along the way. I'm hoping it will mask the smell of stale whiskey on my breath. I also have to add my own commentary every now and again, but I think that will just make it fun. And please, guys, comment as we go. I would also like to have your opinion. Okay, great. So he is so stressed out, but there's still time to grab a cup of watered down coffee on his way. I mean, this was 1987. I don't think there was that fast coffee machines, but anyway, so I don't think he was that stressed. And then what's it with smell the whiskey on his breath? Is he drinking on the job? Back to the book. I'm battling to hold the cup with my right hand. My pinky is swollen and has taken on a purplish color. It looks distinctly like a miniature eggplant. I'm convinced it's broken, but I'll have to deal with it later. I hate the smell along this stretch of the corridor, en route to the brigadier's office. Why can't they unclog the damn toilets? Okay, so it's not just that in 2026 the toilets are clogged. It happened back then also. It's nice to know. I hesitate before knocking on the Briggs door. I have a crashing headache. I definitely should not have overindulged last night. It wasn't good. Maybe that's why I want to see me. I'm in deep trouble if he has found out what happened. Or maybe he just lost on the horses again. Okay, so luckily he's not drinking on the job, so that's a good thing, but he definitely overindulged so much that he thinks that his breath still smells like alcohol. And also talking about something that he did, so I don't know if we're going to find out a little bit more about that later in the book. Or maybe he's just lost on the horses again. He's an irredeemable gambler, so much so that if he spotted 2 cockroaches running up the wall, he'd be inclined to place a bet. Come in, the brigadier growls. I enter his office, my stomach churning. Isn't it supposed to be turning? Anyway. The air inside is thick with the smell of cherry tobacco. It makes me want to wrench. A quick look at the ashtray reveals 5 cigar butts, and it's only 8:30. He clocks in at 8, so either the stubs are yesterday's leftovers or he got enough nicotine in him to keep his cardiovascular system in a state of semi-permanent overdrive. Horse racing guides and betting tickets litter the rest of his desk. Always take your time, don't you, Max? My initials are M-A-D, so someone conveniently add the Max. My colleagues love calling me Mad Max. I ignore the brigadier's cheap shot. Besides, the pain in my finger is killing me. He barely looks up at me while handing me a piece of paper. His demeanor confirms my suspicion. The fool has clearly lost a huge chunk of his salary on the ponies. Now, he is intent on recovering some of his losses, throwing good money after bad. He is annoyed that the process has been interrupted. A phone number is scrawled on the slip of paper. It's a local exchange. Phone this woman, the brigadier said. She's a member of my church. Her son has got some info for you. That's all. What the Now I'm just being used? He's clearly abusing his status as a senior police officer to do favors for his congregation. I'm an undercover narcotics agent, not a babysitter for some religious do-gooder who wants to tell me stories about petty dope smoking going on at a local school. But I keep this to myself. I know all too well not to disappoint the brigadier. As I turn to leave, the smell of tobacco now so overwhelming, I feel quite queasy. He calls out, And, Max, I want feedback by the afternoon. No stories. Fuck off, I mumbled to myself. Back in my office, I dial the number immediately. A woman answers in Afrikaans. I speak it fluently. She agrees to see me within an hour. At least my headache is starting to subside. The pressure's probably off because the brigadier clearly had no inkling of the previous night shenanigans. I'm feeling more relaxed, off the hook now, but my finger is aching. About an hour later, a woman enters my office, followed by a scrawny, dark-skinned youngster. The kid is visibly distraught and the mother is clearly extremely anxious. He doesn't look like a dope-smoking delinquent or a dealer. What am I in for? In that moment, I have no idea that what this boy is about to tell me will change my life forever. And that's it for chapter number 1, and I'll just move on to chapter number 2. I think this one was short enough. I'm quite intrigued as to what is going to happen now. So chapter number 2 is called The Interview. I can tell this is going to be a long day. The kid's mother insists on speaking English. She's not making sense. She's repeating things, hesitating, searching for the right words to tell the story. It's driving me up the wall. The office chair she sits in creaks each time she moves. My patience is wearing thin. I wonder why she insists on speaking English. Perhaps she's just being polite because I greeted her in my mother tongue. I tell her to relax, breathe, and speak her own language. My son is only 14, she says, glancing in his direction. His name is Igor. The boy is leaning back in his chair, hands clenched, eyes fixed on the floor. I notice his knuckles are white, drained of any blood. He's obviously very uncomfortable. And I would suppose so, because the guy we are talking about is a white male. This is the early 80s, and this is a woman of color with her son coming into the office. So I would think it's not an easy thing. 10 minutes into the engagement, all I have extracted are the name and the age of her son. I look at the kid again. This time he holds my gaze, and I sense an opening. But I have to act swiftly. He's the one with the story, and if I don't move now, I know I will end up with nothing. But first I have to get his mother out of my office. The more I look at the boy, the more I feel like he's offering me a glimpse into his troubled soul. He's clearly desperate for someone to listen to his story and help him out of his misery. Having his mother here is not helping. I decide to be direct. I stand up and make eye contact with her. Please follow me, I say. But my son, he stays here. I turn to the boy and say, he'll be fine. I can tell he is relieved. I escort his mother out of the office, a trail of nauseating body fragrance following in her wake. In the passage, I can tell she's confused, but she doesn't ask any questions or resist. I'm grateful for not having to offer an explanation. I take a crumbled note out of my pocket. The distinct green color assures me it's only 10 rand. Have a cup of coffee in the cafeteria downstairs, I say to her as I hand her the money. She wobbles off with the fact that coffee is on me. Back in the office, I offer the boy soda from the miniature bar fridge. He accepts hesitantly. Listen, Igor, I know there is something that you want to tell me, but you're afraid. I want you to know that whatever gets said in this office will remain between you and me. You need to trust me, son. The boy sucks at his straw, glancing up at me. Then his mouth begins to quiver and tears roll down his cheeks. He looks away, embarrassed. This boy, I can tell, is in a bad shape. It's about my older brother, sir, Igor says. They hurt him. Where's your brother now? In the hospital, sir. I'm fully engaged until a sudden stabbing ache in my swollen pinky distracts me, reminding me of yesterday's events in the bar. Odd that my finger should act up now, just as the boy is opening up. Okay, and that's it for chapter 2. And there's so many things I would like to say, but I think it's safer to keep some of the things to myself. I just think that it is difficult for a boy to speak up on whatever he's going to speak up on. My thoughts was something happened to him, and that in front of his mother, but then also having the comfort of his mother being next to him, and now she's not there anymore, and this is a man that he don't know if he can trust. I don't know what his experience was with the police beforehand. And I think we'll move on to chapter 3. The name of chapter 3, The Day Before. I'm watching as my old school friend George is about to hustle 200 rand, a lot of money, off a rookie pool player at the bar. The bet started at 100 rand, and of course, George allows the stooge to win the first game by a wide margin. In the second game, George deviously appears to make a lucky comeback and just edged it. It's the final game. Now it's the best out of 3 contest. The rookie's now feeling confident and he raises the bet. I already know the outcome. People who know George are wise enough not to take him on in a game of pool. George is over 1.8 meters tall and lanky. There is not an ounce of fat on him, and he's a hustler by nature. He's always enjoyed taking money off people through bets he knows he can't lose. My pool shark friend is the owner of the bar. The rookie pool player must be from out of town. We've never seen him in here before. George proceeds to whip him in the final game. The newcomer hands over the money and gulps down the remainder of his beer, seemingly accepting defeat. George shoots me a wide smile. He's done this more times than I've eaten breakfast in my entire life. As the loser exits the bar, George quips loudly. Lessons available on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. The loser is clearly not amused. I order another drink from Bernadine, George's new bar lady. She's only been working here for a month, and already Bernie and I are having what is known as a scene. It started 2 weeks ago. I've always had a weakness for women behind a bar, particularly when she is as gorgeous as Bernie. And Bernie likes me. She's comfortable with my drinking habits, and I'm more than comfortable with her line of work. The bar is empty apart from George, Bernie and me. Mind you, it is only 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay, so I don't know, you probably already clocked out by that time the previous day, knowing that officers work shift. But on the other hand, 3:30 in the afternoon, maybe he was drinking during work hours. Anyway, Bernie and I settle into the game of rummy, a card game I find interesting enough not to bore me. She wins the first hand, as well as the second, the third and the fourth. I'm thoroughly charmed by her cute giggle every time she is victorious. "You're cheating, aren't you?" I tease. "You're just a sore loser, Max," she replied. Glancing out the window, I notice the sun has set. It's amazing how time flies inside a bar, especially when you're having fun. I'm in my happy place. The booze has relaxed me and I'm feeling good. So much so that in that instant I feel perfectly happy with my lot in life. I have a job, money in my pocket, and a woman whose company I enjoy. George emerges from the tiny office. Eyes red and flaky. It's obvious that he's been sleeping. Bernie shifts in at midnight, and I'm more than happy to wait. Suddenly, the guy who lost the pool game returns, this time accompanied by 2 mates. I've never seen these guys before. One of the 2 is built like a brick shithouse, and he's ugly as sin. His lack of a neck makes him look like his head has been punked onto his shoulders. His face is scarred, warrior marks from a lifetime of brawls. He settles up and occupies the seat beside me. His mate, who sits next to him, is a tall, spindly lad. His build matches George's. I have learned never to underestimate a scrawny guy. Those long arms and legs can deliver a devastating blow. We call guys like this one-punch mechanics because they can knock your lights out with one well-aimed shot. The rookie loser positions himself at the far end of the bar. It's obvious that these guys are not here to drink or play pool. They mean business. George glances in my direction, and his expression reveals that he too has picked up on the aggression in the air. We were ready and waiting. The loser orders a round of drinks for him and his mates. Bernie is completely oblivious to any hint of what is about to unfold. I immediately reckon that I will need to neutralize the guy who poses the most dangerous threat, a tactic I learned from my karate instructor. I decide it will have to be the ox sitting next to me. My eyes falls on an ashtray on the bar. It's within reach. I'm calculating all the odds now. George is behind the bar, directly opposite the loser. Bernie's still oblivious to all the testosterone radiating around the bar, serves them their drinks and proceeds to ring the sale. She returns to the loser and hands him his change. "Hey, I gave you 50 rand, the rookie says. You've given me change for a 20. Where's the rest? Oh, so shit's starting quicker than I thought. I'm ready, and so is George. Impossible, you gave me a 20 rand note, Bernie replies. George winks at me and slowly makes his way to the till. Now we all know George never keeps 50 rand notes in the cash register. The currency value is too large and impractical for use in the bar. When he does get a bigger note, he stashes them in the office. No 50s in here, mate. Don't keep them in the till, George says. He sidles up to the loser, maintaining his position on the opposite side of the bar. You must have made a mistake, pal, he added. This clearly does not go down well. Suddenly, the loser takes a wild swing at George, missing him by a wide mark. It's time to get involved. I know I need to act decisively, otherwise George and I are in for a hell of a beating. My adrenaline is pumping as I reach for the ashtray and drive it into the ox's face, breaking his nose on impact. I can hear the crunch of the cartilage, but all it seems to do is knock him off his bar stool. He's still standing, though a bit groggy, and shaking his head from side to side, as if he's trying to clear his head. He's not going to go down easily, I realized. I follow up my first blow with a kick to his stomach. This is immediately followed by the delightful sound of air escaping from his gut, which prompts me to go in for the knockout blow. That rendered, he staggered backwards, opening up a perfect distance for a sucker of a punch, which I delivered to the side of his head. He collapses out cold. I turn to see how George is faring. Fine, by the look of things. George has also knocked out the loser, albeit through the choking method. The lanky lad has armed himself with a pool cue. This guy is clearly going to fight to the bitter end. Just then, 4 uninformed cops barge into the pub. They are a comforting sight. I wonder who invited him, I think to myself. Turns out it was Bernie. When the brawl started, she rushed out into the street and ran slap bang into the cops out on foot patrol. At that point, I don't feel like tackling the last man standing, and lucky for me, the cops don't recognize me. The ox and the loser regain their senses. The ox's face resembles a piece of raw mashed up meat. There is no hint of a nose. The cops try to find out what's going on, and in true South African fashion, the troublemakers refuse to press charges. They've taken their hiding like men. The cops escort them out of the bar. I have no doubt we'll be seeing these guys again in the not too distant future. They will return, seeking revenge. It's the South African way, the Port Elizabeth way. I suddenly feel an excruciating pain shooting through the pinky of my right hand. It looks broken. Oh well, maybe I can just patch it up and see how it goes. In the meantime, a few painkillers would have to do the trick. I don't know why they added this. I mean, yeah, obviously we would like to have known why he thinks his pinky is broken and why it's a purplish color. But hopefully this chapter adds into something later in the book, because otherwise I don't actually care who you fought with and why you fought with them. Or was this a way to introduce Bernie? I'm not sure, but yeah, I was really interested in going into the next chapter to find out what happened to that boy's brother. And chapter 4 seems like it's going to be exactly that. The name of the chapter, the interview continues. So Igor says someone has hurt his brother. That's how he has ended up in hospital. Who hurt your brother? I ask. Morphy, sir. Morphy is a derogatory South African term used to belittle homosexual men. It's the 1980s, and the word like homosexual and pedophile are virtually inexchangeable, regardless of the fact that the majority of pedophiles happen to be heterosexual men. But the boy's reply intrigues me. I'm keen to find out more, but I'm also careful not to push him too much. I can see he's much more comfortable talking now that his mother is out of the room. Okay, so his brother is in the hospital and a person did something to him. They're still not saying what. I decided to record the interview, realizing that what he may choose to tell me about his brother will be hearsay evidence and inadmissible in court. Still, I keep the recording for evidence. And then he tells me the story trembles out of him. His older brother had been viciously so and has been taken to hospital for the wounds to be treated. And that's what I always say. It's not just the girls. There's boys, and you can just feel how difficult it is. And I think if not for this brother, would that boy have ever been brave enough to speak up? I don't stop him while he speaks. Later, after he has offloaded the burden, I'll try to get something concrete out of him. That is, the evidence he can attest to personally. The things he saw and witnessed with his own eyes. The boy is somewhat calmer after telling his story. I try to find out exactly what he knows. Son, have you seen Morpheus doing things to or with your brother on any other occasions? That's what I need to know. Yes, sir. I've seen Morpheus doing things to my brother as well as with other boys. Oh goodness. Okay, so this was not a first time random attack. If this boy had seen it with his brother and other boys, he's probably gone through it himself. What kind of things, Igor? You know, sir, Morpheus things. That means you must have been there as well. I was, sir. The Morpheus paid me money, just like they paid the other boys. Sometimes they like to take 2 boys at a time. One uncle with 2 boys, or 2 uncles with 2 boys. It all depends. Sometimes many boys with 3 or 4 uncles. Holy smoke, this is serious. I feel a surge of anger but suppress it. I encourage this boy to continue. And for me, I don't know if it's a female thing. I don't know if I can explain it as anger. It is anger, maybe, but it's just this sad, overwhelmingly sad feeling and heat coming from everywhere in my body. I think this is going to be a difficult book to read. Now, that's what I want you to tell me, son. Things that happen to other boys in your presence and things that happen to you. Even better is if other boys saw what was happening to you. Got it? Yes, sir. I have to think. I have to try and remember. No problem. Take your time. More soda? He accepts without hesitating. I switch off the tape recorder. It's now time to find his mother. I don't want her barging in and disrupting the flow. I find her seated at the far end of the cafeteria. A coffee cup rests on the table in front of her. Close inspection reveals the cup is almost empty. Time for a refill. I leave her with enough money to cover 3 more servings. She doesn't argue when I ask her to stay put for a while longer. I return to my witness. He smiles when I stride through the door. It's a good sign. He's feeling comfortable now and trust me. I turn on the recorder and nod him to continue. Where must I start? Igor asks. You start at the beginning, son, the very beginning, and you leave out nothing. I want it all, lock, stock and barrel. The lad sighs, then takes a deep breath and carries on with his story. When he's done, I turn off the recorder. This boy has been to hell and back, trapped in a sinister world used by adult men, and all of this happening in my hometown, Port Elizabeth, the friendly city with a filthy underbelly. I promised the boy I will tell no one what he has told me. I know this isn't strictly true, because once I have had his statement typed up, I will need him to sign in the presence of his mother or another legal guardian. He's still a minor, but I will deal with that snag when I get to it. I walk the child back to his mother. He's much calmer now. Then I immediately head for the hospital. I've got to find this Igor's brother and check out the story for myself. Okay, so this is how far I'm going to take it for this video. We ended now at chapter 5. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. See if you are subscribed. If not, hit the subscribe button. You will definitely then be notified of my next upload. I will read this whole book as part of my investigation and I will share it with you guys. But I would love to hear your feedback on every chapter. If you made it till the end, thank you so much. I think I do need a very strong cup of coffee. Until next time, bye.